Oh, sure. So they provided, Kevin Caffrey and Nick Moskowitz provided their thoughts and recommendations based on what we've been observing and specifically what happened today. I mean, I kind of knew this is where we were headed. The only issue that I have, and I don't know, how this will be worked out when we do this, is that if we go to all the trouble of putting this external grease trap in, which again, we've said many times we want to fix the problem. If
We're part of the solution.
100%, like we stand by that. But when we have 3 different professionals in that field telling us that they cannot wrap their head around how the grease is getting in there, it's a tough thing to be like, if we had this direct evidence, like, oh, that's how it's getting in, or this is how it would be a no-brainer. But my big concern is that we go and do this, and then there's still grease, and that's going to be a problem for us. If we go and spend whatever, amount of money that we spend to try to be part of the solution, and then have this coming not to a resolve, it's going to be a problem.
Agreed, yes, but the only way to get to find that is by having you put that external grease trap in, however painful it might be.
It's not about the pain. Like I said, we are more than willing to fix this problem. The concern is that it's all kind of hearsay. It's like I feel like in my heart of hearts that there's something else going on.
Listen, if I was in your shoes, I'd feel the same.
So we were granted a variance. The variance for pretty much, this is why we're here, has been taken away from us. And we're now required to put an external grease trap. If this still continues.
Not yet, we haven't voted on that, so.
Okay. All right, well,
it hasn't been voted on.
so let's just say it does. And where do we go from there? I mean.
Well, we go from setting a date to you having the external grease trap put in, and then monitor the results after that. And knock on wood, it solves the problem.
And knock on wood, if not.
Then we have bigger problems, obviously. Obviously, then there's bigger problems. Then it's going to require that the town probably puts out some money and figures out where it's coming from, and start digging stuff up. Because ultimately, the goal is to make it so there's not a grease problem at that trap there, so it just doesn't, like what happened the other day, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it just doesn't happen. And by taking you out of the equation, it puts the onus back on the town at that point.
I just feel in my heart of hearts we're going to drop 20, 30 grand or however much money, and this is not going to be resolved. And then we're going to be back in the situation where, there's got to be some sort of...
We don't know that though, Karen.
We don't. I'm just telling you instinctually how I feel, and I could be totally wrong. I'm not saying that I'm this clairvoyant that can.
Well, let's hope you are right.
Predict the future.
Let's hope you are right. Let's hope that, yes, it's going to be a financial outlay, but let's hope that this does solve the problem, and then when you're done with it, you just keep on doing the business that you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's going to be more than hope. We're obviously going to have to, come up with agreements that if, we go and spend this money. Because anything beyond this is our livelihood. This could, shut the whole operation down.
Of course, and nobody's up here, nobody knows better than I do. Nobody up here is trying to take away any livelihood from the two of you.
Absolutely.
Doing business in the town of Commerce is very important on the top of my list, and it's probably important on the top of these two guys too. But that being said, being appointed to this, the 3 of us being appointed to this board, we have to look out for the town's interest, and in order to get to the resolve, it might come, and again, we haven't voted yet, so it might come to the point where you're going to have to go ahead and do this, and then 6 months from now, after everything's said and done, if there's still a problem, and maybe Sean wants to jump in here, then the onus is back on the town. Then the onus is back on the town.
Yeah, I know, because you don't know if there's some other pipes coming from there.
And that's exactly
what we don't know about.
But at that point, it's not there. It's not there.
No, I mean pipes within the building. Who knows? You don't know.
But it just doesn't make functional sense. I mean, I run that kitchen.
Yeah.
I know where the grease goes. And we know we've done everything, we've eliminated all problems. That's why
I
we're
got
not,
a
we're
wet
not
dry
sitting
bathroom. We
here.
are
We're not sitting
wet
here in front
drying
of you.
everything up, and we have done
Just
everything.
can't figure out where else grease would be coming from, because they pop the covers, you've been there, you've seen it.
Yep.
It
And
just
they
seems to
don't-
point
don't-
either, it's right there in that spot. I mean, I can't see somebody coming down at night and dumping grease in there.
No, that's, I mean,
That's
with cameras too,
Yeah.
you know, like, you know, if there was any, if I had any other thought of how this could happen, I'd bring it to the table. But we've done everything, we've eliminated issues, you know, we're very vigilant on how we clean the floor, and it's just, you know.
I mean, we've done everything too. We've tried to give you a pretty wide berth to look at it and study it and see it. and
We
now
never,
it's come to the
not
point.
from one time, have ever looked at you guys at the bag guys.
No, but
Yeah.
you know, just saying the same way, it's trying to resolve it and work together on it. And we've got to a
Absolutely.
point now that we've watched it for 6 weeks and there's grease coming in, and the only place it seems like
Right.
it's come from, unfortunately, is your establishment.
And I knew from day one, this is where we're headed, I absolutely knew that, but for me, it's like, you know, having done all this due diligence that we've done over the past few months, and all of our meetings, and all of our, you know, communications, it doesn't make sense, and it's not just me as like, you know, a layperson being like, oh, I don't understand this, but I've had like drain and sewer contractors say, I don't get this, you guys have, you know, grease traps that are plenty sufficient for the volume, they clean them monthly, it's never to a point where they're like, whoa, you guys are, you know, really over your capacity, so it just kind of puts us in a situation where we're like, I mean, obviously, we want to work with you, and we'll go forward and do whatever we need to do, but like I expressed before, I'm just not entirely convinced that's going to be.
And it doesn't end with you, assuming that they vote, you know, to require you to put in a grease trap. It doesn't end with you. It's going to require continued monitoring by me, Rick, and anyone else who's involved in monitoring, not just your line, but all the other lines. So if they vote to have you install an external grease trap, we continue to come out. We pop the manholes that service you, and we pop all the other manholes, so that the goal being, if there's still grease coming into the system, and your grease trap is up to code, we continue to look elsewhere. We continue to walk further down the line, whether it be down Driftway, whether it be down Country Way, etc. So the goal is to eliminate you, which is potentially the largest contributor based on what's been seen in your line. So don't think that just because you would have to put in a grease trap and there'd be grease in the line, all eyes would come back to you.
Right.
It continues to go elsewhere, and this is not the only part of town that is experiencing this trouble. So we're working on this in other parts of town.
I've had a lot of people come up to me and, you know, say that, you know, they've had this pump here is like the oldest pump in town. I don't know a lot about it, but there's been a history of this in the past, and I really don't know enough about it, but I mean, a lot of other people are paying attention to it, and that there's, you know, sewer backups in other areas, and, you know, they're just not convinced.
Well, we used to have a lot more of them. We're trying to eliminate that, and that's part of the issue. And, you know, the other thing is now you are to code, there is no variance. So if something comes in the future where you sell your business, it's done to code. There's no question. And your menu too now at this point, if it changes, you've got capacity to handle that grease. So I see it as kind of a benefit in that respect. It's an investment into your business. I don't, nobody wants to
It'd be more of
spend
an
money they
investment
don't
if you own
have.
the property, but we don't own the property.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's hard to look at like that.
I got you. Understood.
Any more?
I mean, like I said, I just want to go on record that, you know, having a tough time wrapping our head around this, and then, you know, then the what ifs come into play. That if we do drop X amount of money into this and there's no improvement, you know, where do we go from there? So, that's all. I mean, we're going to live up to our end, cooperate, you know, and that's what we've been doing the whole time. I mean, we don't really have much of a choice, but we want to be part of the solution. You know, unfortunately, it's too bad that 2.5 years ago, when we were considering purchasing this business, that we weren't. When this was a huge part of it, is that we knew that we have to dig up the concrete slab to put in an external grease trap, and we wouldn't have necessarily, you know, not to say we wouldn't have purchased the business, but it was largely...
We held up the sale for 3 months, because I was
we
like,
wanted to get a
I'm not-
variance.
I'm not going on like a Hail Mary and say,
Right.
hey, you know, let's see what happens, so we went.
And that's why we did that then with, you know, the former owners, because we wanted to make sure that, you know, we wouldn't run into this issue that we're running into now. And part of the variance was for, our agreement was to fulfill our obligations, you know, with, you know, the cleaning of the grease traps and the hood cleaning and all that stuff. And, you know, we've done more than our share, so it's just unfortunate that we're in this situation.
I agree with you, Michael. I agree. I do remember that hearing, and I do remember it, and I do empathize with you. But the only way to find out that it's not coming from you guys is if this is voted yes. That's the only way to find out. And then it won't be the two of you sitting in front of us anymore. You know, I mean,
Yeah.
you as Russell said, everything will be coded, and you can, you know, for all intents and purposes, so you can sleep well at night and say it's not us, you know, and hopefully it will fix it. And hopefully your instincts are wrong. That being said, Jen, if we do pass this, what is a viable timetable, seeing how we're in the middle of winter?
Can I say one other thing before we sort of conclude this? I would like the opportunity, if it's okay with you guys, to have 3 different opinions based on what kind of grease trap we need to efficiently have the grease coming into one location, meaning, you know, an external grease trap or some sort of internal grease trap that might be underneath the concrete slab, which isn't something I talked to with somebody else, to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row in terms of getting everything we need, not necessarily need by code, but want to do into the grease trap like we talked about before.
In terms of the bathrooms
Yes.
and the floor drains.
There's a lot of moving parts with that. So getting some sort of, rather than just saying an external grease trap and us not, you know, putting the floor drains in, which aren't required by code, you know, doing it right in the sense that we're filtering anything that could be part of the problem into the right situation, if that makes any sense. So having, you know, a few different, the guy from Erico says, you know, several people that, you know, do the grease traps and install them and be willing to, you know, give me some names and have people come out.
Well, I think that would be in the process, wouldn't it, if we allow a certain amount of time? That would be your due
Okay.
diligence to come up with a solution.
That's okay. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it's not like this is going to be done next week.
Right.
We get that.
Okay.
And I think the important thing is knowing where we're going and coming
Right.
up with a suitable timetable.
Okay. Just giving us time to present you guys
Can't
with
give you 2 years
with
to
the
do
plan.
this.
Of course, of
It's
course.
probably going to be, I don't know, whether it's 6 months something. I mean, we're in January now. You get it, try to be done by July 1st. Is that reasonable? Did the sewer commission give any hint on what it is? Because again, it's not trying to punish, it's get the job done, but do it in a way that you guys can feel comfortable about putting your ducks in a line, getting the work done reasonably.
I think,
It's either gonna have to be like April or September, October for us, so.
Yeah, I mean,
That's,
You know, when's your slowest season if you had to shut down for a month? Is it
I think
end of February, beginning of March?
The fall.
fall.
In the fall, yeah.
I mean, you know, obviously we know how this town is in the summer, and we'd like to use that to our advantage if possible. You know, as far as, you know, business and doing this at a point where, you know, we're financially able. You know, this isn't something,
I'm also someone that not waste time. I mean, I'll probably have 3 phone calls made tomorrow and have people ready to come out and get things done. I don't like twiddle my thumbs with that sort of stuff. So, ideally, I would say, again, either April or October.
Yeah,
October.
October would be great. I mean, that would give us roughly 6 months, maybe 7 months.
That's 10 months.
Yeah, that's,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, April
that's 10 months. That's probably gonna be a little bit too long. It's sitting uneasy. Especially after the summer when it is the
Right.
high.
No, I'm inclined to get it done before then.
So,
Yeah, why don't we, I mean, just shooting it out there, we haven't voted yet, but I'll make a motion, but it seems like the 1st of July or something, and I know you want to be done before then. Let's get into the season.
Yeah, there's not a chance we can do it in the summer, so that's not really an option.
No, you know, I wouldn't see that as being an option.
Yeah.
It'd be sooner than later.
Our summers are what keeps us going all year round, so.
July 1?
Yeah, I think that's like 5 months anyways, right? 6 months, not 6
It'll
months?
be February next week.
5.5 months.
It'll be February next week.
Yeah,
So August 1st would be 6 months.
yeah.
But we can't do it then because that's high season, so.
All of the summer's high season.
Yeah, it's almost,
Yeah. I mean, the most ideal time to do it would be like January, February, but if we were to do an external one, I know that might not be.
With the, well, it's been warm, so I mean, the ground's not too frozen, so,
Right.
but it's,
That can
It's
change
a lot of,
quickly.
yeah,
Right.
and it's a lot of logistics in a couple of weeks.
July 1?
yeah, I would say that. Yeah.
I'd say July.
All right.
Now, I mean, are we going that far, like in terms of something happening, or could we get like 6 weeks to come and present a plan to you guys and have you vote on that plan and talk about the time frame then?
The plan isn't us, the plan has to go to her, so the plan doesn't, we're just going to vote
Got it.
A or nay to have you install the grease trap, and
Okay.
then everything falls on there.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's me and the plumbing inspector,
Got it.
who I know you work with.
Yeah, that doesn't
Um,
come to us, we don't vote on the plan, she goes over
I
the
see,
plan
okay.
and makes whatever revisions and, you know,
Okay.
moves it.
I mean, is this, let's say hypothetically, you guys find something, you know, that is the reason behind this problem. Can this get revisited?
I think anything can,
Yeah.
I'm open to anything.
No, I'm just curious. I
Of
mean,
course, yeah, of course.
If we find out that
We
we're
just
not.
went back there tonight and found the culprit for whatever reason, yeah.
Right, yeah,
Of course,
of
got open
course.
ears. But we've been hashing this out for months. so-
Yeah, I understand.
Right.
You know, I don't,
Right.
Yeah.
All right, I guess we're ready to vote then. So.
well, I think the first thing would be the motion to revoke the variance granted.
Yes, and then we're gonna use this one by, the date by. Okay, that's the one you have.
Yeah, so move to revoke, yeah, make a motion. To revoke the variance granted for the river shed and order the establishment to install an external grease trap by July 1, 2017.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So, but we just voted on us having to do an external grease trap. I thought we just talked about coming up with a solution that she approves, what, like if it's,
Well, it still gives you 5 months, so if you, as you say,
Okay.
you're gonna start the process tomorrow or the next week or so, and have some guys come out and give you quotes or
Yeah.
give you the best available options, you know, once they engineer it and do what they have to do, the plans go to her
okay,
and Bongo.
Right. So if, for example, you know, the example that you used earlier, where there's a way to put a tank under your slab as opposed to going into
the parking
the
lot.
parking
Parking
lot,
lot.
that's in essence still an external grease trap.
Got
That's,
it.
you know, 1,000 gallons, it's
Yeah.
whatever size it is, it's not merely something that's under your sink.
I see
So
what you're
that,
saying.
that would,
Okay.
that would count.
Okay.
Is what they just voted on.
Perfect.
And I would assume, and I don't know anything about it, honestly, I don't, but I know a couple others that have gotten done, the Barker and/or the Milwaukee, when they did start construction, it was done real fast. Yeah. it
Yeah,
was-
we're just a totally different beast with that concrete floor, you know?
I know.
I mean, it's one thing to
Believe me,
do the
I know.
excavation in the parking lot,
I
but the
know.
fact that it
The
was.
slab, I
Yeah.
totally get it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally get it.
I was just up at a friend's distillery in Boston, and they were building concrete floors. You
Yeah.
can see the veins going through the floor. They had to jackhammer it up. It
Yeah,
was some work.
yep.
you guys.
All right, thank you for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
So you need me along the
Yep.
way in terms of shepherding things between
I'm
the
sure I
plumbing
will.
inspector, please.
I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen, for all your hard work.
Bye, thank you, guys. All right, new business, director's report. I'm sorry, Sean, I didn't ask if you wanted to interject in anything.
Would have spoken up.
Huh?
I'm not shy, I would have spoken up. I want to raise my hand first and get that. Chair. Of course.
Out of respect.
That's right. Utmost respect.
All right, Jen, what do you got for us?
So sticking with the food theme temporarily, I'm going to try to give you monthly updates on where we are in terms of the food establishments, inspections, re-inspections, generalized code violations, etc. So consider this report 1 for food. In January, we had a total of 23 establishment inspections. 17 were routine, 5 were re-inspections, and 1 was associated with a complaint. Collectively, the critical violations included expired food, equipment or food above acceptable temperatures, dirty food contact surfaces, improper hand washing, and bare hand contact with food. So for all of those critical violations, re-inspections occur, education continues, and we work with all of the establishments to especially, address hand washing and bare hand contact, because those are the most critical things that keep people safe. So that's an ongoing education process. People do a really good job, but every once in a while, folks need a reminder. So those reminders have come. We still have 7 food establishments without permits. A couple of them are seasonal, so they're working on some of their moving parts before they open for the season. A couple of our B&Bs, which are closed in the winter
So
time.
at what point do we call them in here, or the ones that aren't seasonal, that don't have their permits, that have been ignoring the letters and...
The letters, the phone calls, the emails, et cetera, very soon. Because quite
Okay.
frankly, they're operating without the food permit, which is, right, correct, it is illegal. So I've been trying to give folks as much time and effort as I can, but
Do you
it
visit
is
them, do you
soon.
visit them as well?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I hate to ask this question, but where does that leave the town liability-wise?
So we have been working quite hard to get those establishments in line. At this point, there's only 1 food establishment that has had an annual permit in the past. It's all prepackaged food, so it's not day-to-day hand contact with potentially hazardous foods. So the liability is a little less as we basically look for expiration dates and concealed packages.
I'll take the
So-
B&B stuff too, they're not open, so it's not an issue, but if we had a
Right.
restaurant that was open and functioning, and
They wouldn't be open and functioning.
Good, all right.
We
that answers my question.
yes, we
I guess
visited,
have no liability then.
right, we would visit them, we
They
put a
will.
red sticker on their door that says you cannot open, per Board of Health, which nobody wants to see on their doors.
No.
But it is absolutely a possibility if we can't get folks permitted. Moving away from food, we have 11 active housing cases, 6 active nuisance cases, and 10 septic failures. I think the last time I was in here, we had 11 septic failures, so we are 1 less that we are working with homeowners to try to get rectified with a compliant system. We had a sewage release on Friday afternoon at a private location. The approximately 30 gallons of effluent made it to the ground surface. It was reported to the sewer department, who reported it to me, and myself and a member of the Conservation Commission were on site until about 7:30 that night, making sure that proper contractors were in place to continue to pump any effluent from the ground surface so that there was not hazardous waste exposure to any of the folks that may come in the area. and it was repaired about mid-morning on Saturday. So we're continuing to try to work with this particular location so that they have their plans up to date, they know where shut-offs are, and
Now, we had a problem with this place
documentation.
before.
Yes.
Does it seem like the piping is getting old there, bad construction, are they running equipment over places they shouldn't be? What's cracking the pipe?
Two different scenarios, whether it's unfortunate or fortunate. The first was an on-site septic system serving residences. The one that happened this weekend was a sewer line. There was a breach in the sewer line next to a pump. So part of the property is on sewer, part of the property is on septic, so we've had breaches to one of each. So we have been
It's just age?
responding to that. It shouldn't be age. I believe they've only been there since 2009.
Shouldn't be
So it
age.
shouldn't be age. It shouldn't be age. So the investigation work has truly just begun in terms of what's going on, particularly with the latest release. Trying to think what else we've got. I think that's the gist of it. Hopefully the storm will be kind to us and we won't need our first
Tides seem
shelter
to
or
be
station.
astronomically on the low side, so we may,
Hopeful,
yes.
hopeful.
And the rains haven't really come.
Oh, they're coming.
Yeah, good 1.5 to 3 inches.
But I thought it was supposed to start like
Oh,
early,
they're
like 5.
coming. They're
It's gonna take a lot of rain to flood the ocean.
Tonight's gonna be real bad. Invoice
So that's
approvals and
what I've got.
meeting minutes, do you have anything for us?
I just have one PO. I have one signature, so I need the rest.
And that be it?
Yeah.
All right. So take a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, go Pats.